So they can make you like talk about something that that shouldn't necessarily be in topic, but because they're pushing something, it was actually in an interview with Kevin Rudd.
Oh, interesting.
The former Australian Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Rudd, former Australian Prime Minister, he has always pushed against the media.
Yeah,
and the attacks, because he's faced that himself.
Yeah.
He has had some scandals that shouldn't be scandals that have been made.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And he even met in New York with Rupert Murdoch to just get to level with him, to be able to go, this is what needs to happen. But as you can see with News Corp and Rupert Murdoch's media, they have agendas. And they will find a way to push it.
Well, I think the best thing about Bernie Sanders' campaign, and I saw my tweet about it today, that people, like, if it wasn't for Bernie's movement, I think a lot more people in the world would not realize how much control the media has and how much they are actually against what happens in the real world. Like the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, like even Australia, the BBC, the Guardian, the ABC, the Sydney Morning Herald, like all pretty much
Australian,
all Western media outlets. Bernie Sanders is showing how they're actually not attached to the real world. They don't have your best interest at heart. They have an agenda that they're pushing, and they're all unified behind this one agenda.
Exactly.
And people are now saying that they're all so out against Bernie Sanders, and it's just over the top. You have so many hosts on MSNBC and CNN, and people writing op-eds daily about how trying to trash Bernie.
Exactly. Well, you can see in that one of the past debates when Senator Warren came out with the controversial statement that Bernie said that a woman couldn't win in 2016.
Allegedly.
According
to Elizabeth Warren.
And
no one else was in the room.
No, yeah, it was a one-on-one instance. Anyway, regardless of what actually happened, one of the questioners, they asked Bernie, is it true? And then the next day, Bernie said no, it wasn't. And then she literally went to Senator Warren and then said, why did Bernie say, or something?
So how did you react when Bernie said this? Saying it as it was fact.
As if it was fact.
And
undermining what Bernie just said.
And even when I think one of those articles came out, I think it was, I'm not sure where it came out, but I think it was might have been the Washington Post, but they said they had like 3 sources on it. It was Elizabeth Warren and then 2 of her campaign aides. And the sources of the aides was Elizabeth Warren. Like, they weren't in the room. They just heard from Elizabeth Warren that she told them that Sanders had said that. So how they aren't a source.
It's like me right now having a conversation with Nick. I go out and I speak to my mum and my dad, and then they then go, "Oh, I'm the source," but they weren't in the room at all.
Did you see on I think it was on MSNBC afterwards, Joanne Reid had a body language expert to come on.
Oh yeah.
And then she they were analysing how Bernie reacted to it, and she was saying, Bernie Sanders should have said no. He's clearly trying to defend himself.
Exactly.
He's lying.
But the thing, they shift public opinion by the way that they address the things. As I said, it's not about making you believe it. It's making you talk about it. These things that we shouldn't be talking about, but we are, just make the campaign even harder to beat Trump. Like,
do you think Bernie Sanders would have got the nomination if the media had been fair to him?
He would have
2016.
Somewhat, yes, because Hillary's. I wouldn't say she's the most favourable, but she's quite favourable to the establishment, the media establishment.
Yeah. Do you think it's Bernie can beat Donald Trump?
Yeah, easy.
Well,
not easy, but he can beat.
The way I look at it right now is that the polls definitely show Bernie beating Donald Trump. He's definitely got much more favourability to Donald Trump. So I think
he's polling well in the states that that Trump was able to get over.
That's
Hillary.
Polling as things are right now.
Yeah.
If he gets the nomination, you'll have a very strong, well organised media attack against him from everywhere, calling him a socialist, calling him a communist, saying he's unhealthy. Like you had so many people in 2016 having to say Hillary Clinton, is qualified for the job. When you have a real estate magnate from New York who's unqualified for the job, not having to defend himself. But they're gonna have Bernie having to jump through so many hoops, and he's gonna have to release so many medical health reports and whatever.
That he shouldn't need to.
No, I know, but even when he
Trump hasn't released his tax returns.
I know, but that's not going to be not going to be talked about. It's going to be Bernie having to defend himself, and that's I think once you have the media attacking Bernie, it's much easier to attack him than Trump, and that's what I think. Bernie's message of we need to expose Donald Trump for the fraud that he is. That's what you need to do, and
I think
that's the only way.
Marketing strategy with trying to figure out how they can. Sort of battle with Trump's attacks on him, because obviously if he gets the Democratic nominee for president, then they're going to have to find a way to beat Trump at his own game.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway.
Okay, well, we're almost time to wrap up. I'm just going to ask you, what in the next few weeks and for Super Tuesday, what are your predictions for coming up?
I think South Carolina will be close. I think Biden might edge it. He could edge it.
Sportsbet's got Bernie ahead. Pretty close though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think Biden might get it, but if Bernie can win South Carolina, and then he heads into Super Tuesday with pretty much basically the nomination, I think.
Mm-hmm. And what about Bloomberg showing? Do you think Bloomberg will have a big he's polling second, but he hasn't actually run in any of the states yet. Yeah, so we have no idea what's going to happen.
He is what's it called? He's number 2 in the in Sportsbet. So.
Yeah. So, but I think this was all before his really poor debate. So he could come out strong. I don't think he'll be as strong as Bernie. I think maybe he might get a second or a third.
Yeah.
Hopefully Bernie keeps the momentum going into Super Tuesday. I think come Super Tuesday there'll be a lot of people dropping out following Super Tuesday.
Well, they won't have the resources or the funding to be able to...
So it's a fight for second. After Super Tuesday, it might be down to, Pete, Biden, Bloomberg, and Bernie.
Yeah. I think Bernie's best chance is getting Warren's endorsement.
Do you think I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I hope she stays impartial.
Do you think Warren's going to bounce back?
No, I don't think so. Because as I said... I think I've said, her campaign is relatively close to going broke.
Yeah, and I think if you're a progressive, and you're in the Bernie or Warren camp, right? You're one of those two. You want a progressive to win, and you see your candidate's not doing well. You're not going to jump to a Pete Buttigieg or Biden. You're going to jump to You're hopefully going to jump to a Bernie. So Bernie might be picking up a lot of votes there.
Yeah, but as you can see with Trump has a lot of fans.
Yeah,
but he also has a lot of people that hate him. That's sort of similar with Sanders, that he has
ironically,
like him, and that's one thing that will be good to see if he gets him going up against Trump. Will be him being able to win those voters that don't necessarily agree with him, but that would rather vote blue than red.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what Chris Matthews said. He said. It's blue or dead, but as his quote about being in Central Park and being lined up, because he doesn't like the socialist view, he doesn't really have big favour.
I don't think he has any idea about what's going on.
But the thing is that people need to not conflate socialism with communism, because Bernie Sanders isn't communist. He isn't about that agenda. He's about socialist views of things that Europe have already experienced.
Yeah.
Besides the UK, but. European countries have already experienced socialism work, not like South America.
You're talking about Scandinavian socialism.
Yeah, Scandinavian socialism, and that's what people need to look at. They need to study that, and obviously voters don't necessarily study that, but it's something that needs to be talked about.
It's just so easy to you say some, the people in Trump camp would say capitalism works, socialism doesn't. Look at the Soviet Union. But then if you're in Bernie camp, you say, look at Scandinavia.
Exactly.
It's the best place. It's the happiest countries in the world. Most free time. Least amount of crime.
Exactly.
It's pretty much the best.
Gender equality.
And so I think it's just quite obvious to say, what are the other countries doing properly? Why can't we do that?
Exactly. Well, anyway.
Well, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our first episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Aymon, where can people find you? Are you on Twitter?
Aymon Berta on Twitter, AYMONBERTAH.
And I'm Nick Ford. I'm also on Twitter at NICGFOID. That's Nick G. Ford. I hope you guys enjoyed our first episode. We'll have more of these hopefully every week. We'll be discussing not just the US politics, but foreign policy and the world in general from I guess, more of a progressive point of view.
Yeah.
And although we are Australians, we're a bit of outsiders, but we still have a lot to offer, I'd say.
I definitely agree with that.
And we'll also have another bonus episode coming out this week talking about the deal of the century.
Yeah, and the Palestinian struggle.
Yeah, or the sham of the century.
Yeah, as most people have come to agree with, hopefully.
Yep, absolutely. So tune in. We'll have that out very soon, and we'll chat to you again next week. Hopefully Bernie keeps on this momentum.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys.